Ladies and gentlemen, my name is XPC Reaper here for Trojan Horse Gaming. Today we're taking a library card look at Dark Souls 2. Now Dark Souls 2, this was pretty eagerly anticipated by a lot of people. And can I just point out, this game was released on the 25th. When it was released it was version 1.0. Already we're up to version 1.02. Let me just give you a little comparison of what that means. Splinter Cell Blacklist at the moment is on 1.03, and it's been out a little longer than 4 days. So From Software are actually taking care of updating the game as it should be, which is absolutely fantastic in my opinion. So you can see I've created two characters. Hey Kieran, just ignore that ugly ugly thing. I put every slider straight to the right because I wanted to make a character which was going to be unique for when Kieran summoned me in. Kieran, over the next few months you might actually see me producing content with the guy because love playing with the guy, absolutely great friend, tremendously fun to just speak to and everything. So let's step into the light. You can see my character at the moment is slightly weathered looking. Definitely not the prettiest of characters. And here's the thing. The more you die, that's not going to make you look more pretty. No, the more you die, the more desiccated your character will become. You become really decayed, you start losing your hair. If you've got a beard, it just becomes more and more discolored. It makes you look really ugly. Now, here we have this is essentially the Firelink Shrine of the game. This is a place called Majula. Now, on this character, I've probably got maybe about 5 hours worth of playtime. I am level 78. What you're thinking probably is level 78, Jesus, you must have grinded like an absolute nothing else to actually get to that level. Leveling in this game isn't actually as difficult as it used to be, or should I say expensive. Souls are more common in this here because of the ability to cooperate with other players using your white sign soapstone, and between levels the increase in souls that it would cost is significantly less. Now, first thing running about here, I want to point out I'm getting 50 frames per second looking about. When I look over to the sun and all of that there, I'm still getting 50 frames per second. Even when I look out into the water, it's 50 frames per second. All of these details are on high as they can be actually, and texture quality, it's pretty decent actually. People might say, oh, that stone wall just looks weathered and crap, in my opinion. Yeah, this is weathered and crap. This place is very much decrepit, falling apart. It's not well maintained. And overall, the art style of the game still remains true to the whole Dark Souls nature of it. It's very gothic in a lot of elements. In fact, I'll take us to the Farfire in what is Lost Bastille, you call this area. This area is Lost Bastille. It's one of the areas you reach. It's accessible from two ways. You can either do it sort of early on, or you can do it in a sort of further away in the game. You can put it off for a little bit, or you can basically go straight there. Now, let me show you a little bit of the combat system in this here. It's very much true to the old Dark Souls style of you really want to be dodging and parrying and all that there. Ooh, like I said, you really want to be dodging and parrying because the enemies in this game, a lot of people were worried that it's going to be more forgiving and everything. This game is not more forgiving. Anyone who tells you, oh, Dark Souls 2, yeah, it's just really forgiving now, like it's really easy because you've got stuff like life gems you can use, it's not really easy. Anyone who tells you that is flat out lying to you about the game. Now, I've already completed the boss in this area, but you know what, we're gonna we're going to place down a white sign soapstone, and you can still place your white sign soapstone after you've beaten a boss. You can basically place it as many times as you like in an area, and it's actually really good. Now, it all depends, of course, on how many players are playing at the current time, and whether you've got set to region or worldwide, but I've had points where I've placed down a summon sign, been running about, and about 5 minutes later I'll get summoned in, and it's like, I forgot I placed that down. And then there are other points I'll place down a summon sign, and within about 15 seconds, and I kid you not, within 15 seconds, I was already in another game. That includes the time it took for me to actually sign into their world. Or not to sign in, I suppose that's the wrong one, to load into their world. Now, why is my health increased? I forgot. There is an item you get, let me just show you the equipment. There's an item you get called the Ring of Restoration, which gradually restores HP. You're thinking, too easy. The game's being made too easy, it's too casual now. Stop thinking like that. Yes, you regenerate more HP. Yes, I've still got 4 Estus Flasks plus 1. You know how many I had when I started the game? 0. Until I was about maybe 30 minutes into the game, I only had 1 Estus Flask. After that I had 2. About 2 hours into the game, oh, I'm being summoned to another world as a phantom. And I really should have jumped that instead of actually just falling down. Is that gonna... Is this bugged out? I think it's bugged out because I was being summoned when I died. Oh, you can see water down there. That's nice. Alright. So yeah. It's not... Oh wait. Something's happening. Screen's going black. Oh, I'm respawning. Yeah. Okay, so some points... Yes, it's not absolutely uber perfect. My summon sign has disappeared. That's unfortunate. It honestly is. I'm going to have to go back to get my souls because I had about 8,000. And yes, they're more common. That doesn't mean you want to be throwing them away. It's less of a detriment to throw them away, but it still is a pretty serious detriment. Now, spell-wise, you've got a wide variety of ones. I am currently playing as a sorcerer, first character I created. And so far I like the sorcerer class. It's a good one for me to use. I feel pretty confident using the spells. It's mostly a case that I dodge out of the way, and I should point out I died again. I'm not sure if she looks more desiccated now, but it's possible. Oh, I did not dodge out of the way of that. That was a stupid move. Didn't dodge out of the way of that one properly either. Stupid move. See? The game is unforgiving. If you're trying to dodge towards someone like in the first one while they're swinging horizontally, you better make sure you're getting on the damn ground. Because otherwise, that's just not good, you know? It is still as easy as it used to be to get killed. In fact, this time around, it's easier because your invulnerability frames are significantly lower. And I mean significantly. You've got maybe about half the invincibility time that you used to have in the game. Those dogs didn't actually die from that, and I'm getting bleed build-up as a result of that one particular annoying dog who should have been in the fire when I set fire to your friends. Okay, so we got Soul of a Nameless Soldier. More souls. Okay, does that mean it's easier? No. Diminishing returns are another thing in this. Diminishing returns are way more unforgiving, and they come along way more quickly. On top of that, you've got more skills you have to actually invest your souls in to level up, which means that you really need to be more economical with your skills. Now, Estus Flasks, if I use this here, you'll see it doesn't restore it instantly. It gradually goes up to it. If I was to use a life gem, I would be extremely slow in building up that health. I am currently actually wearing a ring as well. You get rings which increase your HP and everything. Then, of course, to the contrary, you get ones which increase your spell uses. But those are really going to detract from your actual survivability because it seriously affects your health. I think it's like 10% of your HP goes away when you put on the ring. You get about 20% more use out of some of your spells. I'm going to say around, no, we'll say a quarter. We'll say a quarter to maybe 1.5 times the ability, because it all depends on it. Without the ring I've got equipped, I would have 3 soul spear barrages. I think I had like 9 heavy soul arrows. I don't even remember if it affected my lightning spear, because lightning spear is technically a miracle as opposed to the actual spell. And you can see your weapons still have the durability. If you look to the right on my bar, I've got a bit less durability on that than full. And in this game, durability is different. It's not done the way it always was in Dark Souls, where you could rest at a bonfire, but you know, you could go many bonfires in a row without actually having to do anything regarding repairing your weapons. I'm gonna have to use a bloody soul spear barrage. Nope, that didn't work. Yeah, those guys really didn't want me to survive. Those guys are pretty damn difficult when you're running through this. If you can get behind them and you've got a summon on your side, then very helpful to have. But you know, let's try a different area. In fact, let's go to Cathedral Blue, and I'll place a summon sign outside of it. Maybe some people are still trying to fight the old Dragon Rider, but they just haven't quite got there. Now, if I look into the light, slightly more desiccated looking than before. I'll use a human effigy. You don't have to be resting at the bonfire to use these anymore. And you can see my character's actually not half bad looking. I created sort of the pretty sorceress type character who is as beautiful as she is deadly. The reason she's not actually that much of a looker is because my skills in this game are such that I'm not really all that deadly either. Now, what this doesn't have is stacking human effigies. You can't use a pile of human effigies over and over and over in the hopes that, you know, you're going to be basically getting massive damage bonuses out of your chaos weapons, things like that, because that's simply not how this game works anymore. They've removed the chaos weapon style where it was additional humanity would inflict additional damage, and instead the only real benefits for humanity are the fact that you can summon people in and your health is always at its maximum. What I mean by that is you don't have decayed health, I suppose you could call it. Decayed health in this game is such that with each death your maximum HP bar lowers by, I think it's around 2%. I'm not sure what percentage it stops at, but it could be like being cursed in the original Dark Souls, not Demon Souls, but rather the original Dark Souls, where you had 50% of your HP until you cured that. It could be something like that, but humanity is more easy to regain in this game, I suppose I should say, because you don't have to be human to apply a summon sign. And you can be summoned in while hollow. When you're summoned into a world, you are your hollowed state. You don't have your maximum HP. Or no, when you're summoned in, you have human state, but if you fail, you go back to your hollowed state, and your weapon durability, which you used up during that summon, is gone. If you have spell uses that you used during that time, those are gone. And it's just generally a case of, if you don't win as a summon, you've just majorly detrimented yourself. You can seriously end up wearing down your equipment, you can run out of spell uses, and the only way to get those back is to either become human and go to a bonfire, or if you're using it like a sort of checkpointing system in the game, you really can end up screwing yourself over if you get summoned into a bad world. If you play badly in that world and you get vanquished, then you know, that's really unfortunate for you, because what you've done is essentially just waste your ability and spell uses, which presumably you were trying to regain in the first place. And then, of course, if the host gets vanquished, if he dies, you lose all of that stuff as well. You basically are gambling very much with assisting people in this game, because you have to rely on them being as good as, if not better, than you. Now you'll see I'm going to a place called Sinner's Rise. Overall, like, the frame rate in this hasn't dropped. That's one thing I feel I should point out. I'm actually gonna, since there's two of these guys, I'm going to use a Soul Spear Barrage, which hopefully will be able to stop. Nope. Okay, so that didn't work. Really shouldn't have been doing that. Should have been ducking between cover, maybe trying to get them to equip melee weapons and using the dodges more effectively, but that was just bad play on my part. Okay, so let's try using Great Heavy Soul Spear. Okay, yeah, that works. Not Soul Spear, Soul Arrow, sorry. He's mostly dead, so I can equip a normal Soul Arrow to use on him now. You'll notice that their arrows aren't, I suppose you could call it just homing, because that's essentially what they did in the first one, which was rather ridiculous in a lot of ways. There were points where the arrow, despite the fact they aimed the arrow at you and you might have moved maybe 20 feet from where you were initially, that arrow still could have impacted you because for some reason it had some kind of mind of its own. And in this game they've removed that, which is fortunate. But at the same time, that means it's not there for you to use either. And the enemies try to lead you. You can't actually trick enemies into shooting one particular way and them completely miss because you changed direction, for example, at the last moment. The enemies in this game, the AI, feel like they're artificial intelligence because they're not just there to immediately track every single move you've got. They're not uber intelligent, I suppose you could say. They're actually just hollows. They've got AI like they are actual undead creatures. They're not sitting there as these pinnacles of intelligence which are able to outwit and outsmart even the most great of players. Now this particular area, I'm definitely placing a summon sign in because this area scares me. I'm not gonna lie about that. Why? These things. Can I backstab using... Nope, I can't backstab using my offhand weapon, which is unfortunate. Because like I said, these things really scare me. Does a lightning spear work? Lightning spear works. I'm being summoned as a phantom, thank God. What that does mean though is when I come back to this world, if he hadn't died just now, he still would have been there and I still would have been in combat with him. You can see that the asterisks are there. It automatically gets rid of swear words and people's names and replaces them with asterisks online, which I like because it keeps the game not really family friendly, because I wouldn't describe this game as family friendly at all. In fact, this game is not friendly to anyone. This game is just a major arse simulator. It's cruel in its most base nature. So I'm gonna use some lightning spears on him. Please work. One more lightning spear. Yes! Okay, so that's that enemy down, which is good. And there are 3 of these, I believe. Yes. Through here there's another one. So I'm gonna lightning him. I know what you're thinking. You're using lightning and you're in water. How does that not have any kind of a problem? They didn't really simulate the lightning physics. They didn't really decide that water needed to conduct electricity. Why? Because that would have made the game even more difficult, and frankly, it's already enough of a pain as it is. I mean, this particular area it's definitely not easy, and when you come to the last boss fight in this area, who is someone called the Lost Sinner, sorry, he's cruel, he's not nice in the slightest. And he really doesn't hesitate to make it known to you. He will jump out of the point where, since it's so dark, you're not able to lock on to him effectively. You're not able to get ranged spells on him, which are going to deal heavy damage. He is quite weak to magic, but since he dives out of the way so much, it's pretty much impossible to effectively use magic at him at a safe distance. You really need to time it so that your dodges and your attacks are in sync with his. And what I don't mean is do it at the exact same time, because if you don't actually beat him to something, if you don't dodge out of the way and effectively sneak around some of his methods, you're screwed. Oh crap, mummies. I hate the mummies in this game. They jump and they slam and they explode. They're basically like suicide bombers, only they don't suicide. They actually survive using those attacks on you, and they will just keep using them indefinitely, which is really, really irritating. Ooh, he just summoned Lucatil of Mira. Lucatil, I will admit, I like as a character. All the characters in this game I feel are brilliantly designed. For example, some of you might have seen in the pre-release content stuff about Mild-Mannered Pate, who was voiced by Peter Serafinowicz, who's a comedian I happen to particularly enjoy. And then, of course, you don't really have big famous name ones, but what you do have is brilliant voice acting from them anyway. Yeah, you're not talking about, oh, these are the pinnacles of celebrity names. This game, it didn't look for Peter Serafinowicz. What happened was he actually looked for this game. So this game, it doesn't rely on big names and voices and everything. What you want to do in this area, by the way, I should just point out, is walk single file, because at one point we were walking single file and Lucatil of Mira decided to follow behind the host and ran into Summon Phantom, me, and fell into the water, which I thought was incredibly stupid. The AI for some of the summons is not exactly what I might describe as, oh my god, so intelligent. Now what's he actually using? Did he just heal there? I hope not, because that would be a tremendous waste. Right, so let's see how this works. Now, this is the Lost, or is it the Last Sinner? Either way, he's an arse. And I actually just realised why he's so angry, because I've never seen that cutscene before, and... okay. If a big bug crawled into my eye, I'd be pretty pissed off too. So now I feel bad for calling him an arsehole so many times. Poor guy. He's got a bug in his eye. That's not nice. That's not what you want. So I wonder with this summon, or with this torch, yeah, with the torch I'm actually more able to effectively lock onto him. I can lightning spear him, which is brilliant. I can use heavy soul arrows. It looks like we're going to actually beat this guy because I was smart enough to bring a torch. Otherwise you're fighting in almost complete pitch blackness and you can't effectively lock onto the guy. Also, Lucatil is drawing a lot of the aggro, which is brilliant. Thank you so much, Lucatil. Like I said, the summons in this, they're not particularly intelligent AI because she's not blocking half of his attacks and she's taking a major amount of damage. But what that does mean is she's drawing aggro, so we don't have to. You can say we bowed to each other. I fulfilled my duty and defeated the last sinner, or the lost sinner. I'm going to wave goodbye to this nice person, and I got a token of fidelity, which is nice. And once I actually spawn back into the world, what you're going to notice is 28, 20, 5, 14. You've still got 16 lightning spears? That's right. I regened all of that stuff. which is lovely, in my opinion. It's lovely that I did that. I am going to set a light. I am also going to summon in Lucatil of Mira, because Lucatil, I love you. She's honestly one of my favourite ones. I did enjoy summoning in mild-mannered Pate, because Pate I just thought was, oh, you're nice, I like you, Pate. For me, he's the Solaire of the second one. I know people are probably going to be like, oh, Mark, you love Pate too much, you've got too much of a guy crush on him, but honestly, he's like Solaire to me. He's just that nice guy. I wonder, is this guy summoning in? No, looks like he's not. So I've got my lightning spears. That enemy in there is dead, which is nice. You can also see I've got a set amount of time left. Oh, timed out from server. That's unfortunate. I do hope my internet isn't actually... No, my internet still retains all of its internetishness, which is nice. Now, in the water, you're definitely facing a lot of adversity because you can't dodge out of the way as effectively anymore. The water in this game, also if I dive, I'm going to put that torch out. Now, let's take on you, Sunshine. I don't know why I call him Sunshine, because really he's a creature of darkness, and Sunshine should be associated with that most holy of symbols, O mighty Solaire. Solaire, of course, everybody had a guy crush on him the first one. Everybody loved Solaire. He was just too nice. You couldn't not like the guy. So, magic on you. There's an enemy over there. Magic on you. There was another one, wasn't there? I could swear. Oh, Lucatil! You killed the other one. You legend! Love you, Lucatil. Now the unfortunate thing is, I haven't opened this gate before. Ooh, you're dead. You are not living. I refuse to let you survive in my world. Because those mummies honestly are the most OP enemy in the game. They're worse than the bosses. Damn it. I had to put my torch out because of arse. Please don't be another one. Ah, crap. And he killed me. Oh, you son of a... Yeah, the mummies in this are really, really irritating, and they are by far the most irritating of all things in the game. They have pissed me off more than anything I could possibly think of out of the series so far. They are just the worst, and that is why I will never stop saying that they are the worst, because they are the worst. If something is the worst, I'm going to tell it it's the worst, because it's the worst. It's just common courtesy. Now, you'll see that I'm not quite locked onto him. Ooh, crap. That was unfortunate that I wasn't quite locked onto him. Ah, damn it. Took an arrow. Reload. Come on, boys. Oh, you led me. Oh, you killed me. I lost 20,000 souls. See what I'm talking about, people? This game isn't more forgiving. It's not just going, well, you know, I'm gonna go easy on you. The game is not forgiving. It is evil. It is cruel. It is a dark soul. And, on top of that, it's a tremendous port. Now, I know I've actually forgotten to show you the options menu, so you know what? Let's show you the game options. You've got everything you could possibly expect. You've got flip Y, X reset, Y axis, which basically means when you press the reset button to focus it in front of you, that'll also reset it so you're looking directly in front of you. You've got your camera auto adjust. I'm going to switch that off actually, I don't know why that's on. You've got your cinematic effects, you've got toggle auto lock, which is really handy, auto target, which is definitely handy. Jump controls, you can switch between clicking in the left stick while sprinting or tapping B while you're sprinting. I'm used to it being on B from the first one, so I'm going to do that. Voice chat is allowed. You can also put it on restricted if you don't want to use your voice chat. You can have cross-region play, which means I can set it so that I'm only playing with local players, or I can set it so I'm playing with anyone in the world. Screen options. Now, in-game, you're thinking, There's absolutely nothing there. That's an absolute disgrace that that only exists like that. So, before we actually wrap up this little video on Dark Souls 2, let's show you the actual menu, the actual graphics options for the game. Press start, checking save data, checking DLC, logging into the Dark Souls 2 game server, retrieving information. And let's see, video, there's not much there, Mark. What are you talking about? Ooh, what's all of this? You've got texture, you've got shadow effects, anti-aliasing, motion blur. Anti-aliasing, granted, you can't really change it between different things, but you've got anisotropic filtering. You can set off weak, medium, and strong, which I'm guessing is basically your off 2, 4, and no, it's probably like 2, 4, 8, and 16 times anisotropic filtering, I would take a guess at. SSAO, of course, you can enable, which is your screen space ambient occlusion. You can have depth of field on. Water quality, you can switch between low, medium, and high. If in some areas like Majula you're tanking frame rates because you're on a lower end PC, switch that to low, because the water quality when it renders it is actually, it can be quite draining on lower end systems. High quality character rendering, you can have limit to player character or enable for all characters. You've got pretty much everything you could want in this game from a PC port, and honestly, if I have to say, Dark Souls 2 in comparison to Dark Souls 1 is just straight up better a port. There's no doubt about that. This game is infinitely better in terms of how well it was ported to the PC. Not only that, this game is a better PC port than I've seen out of a lot of AAA titles. I don't get frame drops in this here. I straight up don't. Let me tell you some of the games I have had frame drops in so far. Battlefield 4, COD Ghosts, those are two big AAA titles with teams of massive amounts of people behind them, with the history which can basically be traced back to the PC. Call of Duty 1, I think, was released on consoles, but it also came out on PC. Call of Duty 2, the main reason it actually got so popular was because LAN centers stocked it in massive amounts, and it became one of the popular LAN ones. Same with COD 4, it became one of the most popular online games that there were, and to this day is still revered for its incredibly quality gameplay. But then those series like Battlefield and Call of Duty and so many other ones, I'm not gonna lie, there have just been piles of titles from AAA developers which have ended up having terrible PC ports. Grand Theft Auto 4, for example, ended up being so bad that Red Dead Redemption didn't even get a port simply because GTA 4's port sold so few copies because of the Windows games for Windows Live and the fact that it was just awfully done. And then what happens is From Software, a company which have developed pretty much exclusively for consoles up to this point, they come out with a PC port which puts shame on so many other ones. This game, in terms of port quality, so many people are just like, oh, it's really badly done. It's not. This is a pretty good PC port. You can increase the quality of it using third-party mods, and I will try to find links to those to actually include in it. You can increase, you can use texture downsampling, for example. If you've got a high-quality PC which can support 4K, you can actually downsample your quality from 4K to like 1920 by 1080 or whatever resolution you're using a third-party software mod. And there are a few ones which are just designed to fix up some of the more lacking parts of this, but in terms of how well this is done, it's just done bloody well. This game is incredibly recommended. I mean, if you're a fan of Dark Souls, you're going to be a fan of Dark Souls 2. I've not heard a single person say, oh, Dark Souls 2, yeah, I like the first one, but the second one's crap. anyone I have communicated with, I even have a friend, Kieran, who didn't like the first one, I believe. I don't think he enjoyed it. He watched Shane play it a couple of times. Shane is another guy you might hear me talking about in future videos, who I might be producing content with in future for their channel. And Kieran went out and bought this game. I recommended it to him. I was like, this game's brilliant, and he spent £35 buying this game on my recommendation. Huge gamble on his part as well. I would just like to thank him for taking that gamble, and he's enjoyed it. He's not beaten the last giant yet because he keeps beating it in other people's worlds, but then of course you've got the problem with in your own world, you're the first one to draw aggro out of the boss because you're the first one through that fog wall. So at some point I'm definitely going to have to help him out on it when we can actually find a way to summon each other effectively. But he still enjoys it. He was telling me he enjoys it, and this is brilliant. This game has won over a person who wasn't really a fan of the first Dark Souls. In terms of PC port, it's won over a lot of people based on these options. The fact that you've got decent options and then it's not locked to a stupid resolution like the first one was and just upsampled from there. I know I'm rambling, but let me just hit information. Does this give you access to the credits? No, unfortunately it doesn't. Well, you can see right there at the bottom, Dark Souls Trademark 2 and 2014 copyright Namco Bandai Games Inc. Copyright 2011 to 2014 From Software Incorporated. Well done, From Software and Namco Bandai Games. Well done. Now, of course, if you want to see more of this game, I might actually be putting out a series on playing through it if I can actually hit a stage where I'm competent at playing the game. If not, I'll maybe just do a couple of co-op videos, just showcasing some of the different summonings and maybe show off the bosses of the game. But until then, thank you very much for tuning in. Apologies for the delay in content coming out throughout the month of April. I was sort of fixing up the room, I was tweaking levels a bit. I've actually got new flooring down, which is wood flooring now. I've not painted the walls yet, but being perfectly honest, that can wait. And yeah, just apologies for the delay in content finally coming out, but I feel like with Dark Souls 2, it was definitely a case that I came back with something which is really good. So this is being recorded on the 29th of April. I should point out this won't be going up until the 1st of May, because I want to actually put it in as a new month's content. I'm also going to be looking at games. The library card will be making a return, definitely. I'm going to be recording more videos for it today. I'm also going to start looking at Origin games and not just Steam ones, because there are a few Origin games I have which I feel definitely need a bit more highlight from me. I think Steam, it's great that I've got so many games on it, and it's great that I've got so much I can choose from. But I want to try and implement it so that all my content from Steam, Origin and Uplay is going to be amalgamated into one thing, instead of creating a series specifically for Steam and ignoring some of the more popular games I particularly enjoy, like Splinter Cell Blacklist and the Assassin's Creed series, of course, and Battlefield, as well as the Command and Conquer games, Mass Effect titles, all of those. So thank you very much for your patience, thank you very much for watching through the video. If you've got to this stage, you've got much more patience than I would have. I couldn't listen to me talk for about half an hour. That would just be really, really horrible, having to sit and hear myself speak. I've actually got my monitor and my headset so low because it's just like, wow. It's distracting for me hearing my own voice. I know you might think I love the sound of it, but I've actually got my game audio coming through, but not me speaking. So, yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for watching the video. Dark Souls 2 is available for £39.99 on Steam. It is also available, I believe it was £35 I saw it for, on a couple of third-party sites. You could possibly pick it up for £30. GMG, I believe, had this for $29.99 with a 25% off voucher, so you might actually want to look into that if you have one of those vouchers. And is this game worth £30? If you don't like hard action RPGs, no. If you don't like action RPGs, no. If you don't like hard games, no. If you like a game which is going to give you a sense of accomplishment and actually beating something in it, yeah, this game is going to be for you, because this game is all about accomplishment. This game is challenging, and therefore when you beat a boss in it, you'll feel like you've overcome a challenge. So once again, have a good one, everybody, and I will see you next time.